It's quite impressive how much game and how much depth Radek has been able to put into this game. Hey everyone, this is Thecos, and today I'm going to bring you my Kickstarter preview of Chronicles of Civilization. This is a flip and write strategy game by Radosław Ignatów. You might know this or recognize his name because I have covered quite a few of his roll and write or flip and write games in the past. And this is like his newest outing. Before I say anything about it, as usual, grab yourself a cup of tea and let's go. Yep, the right temperature. Wonderful. All right, so I want to show this game to you today, but this is a quite a long game and also a very complex game. So what I will do instead, I will just explain the game to you and give you like a rough overview over how this game works, and then I will say a few things about my first impressions here. This campaign is currently live as this video is going up. It should be live for another 4 days if I can edit this video in time here. I haven't been able to put out a video earlier for this, but you will still have like a few days time to back this campaign if you like what you see here today. So what is Chronicles of Civilization? Well, it is a civilization game in a print and play format. But you can see there is lots to it because we have 5 sheets. Most print and play games have like 1 or 2 sheets. Maybe 3 maximum. Well, we have the full 5 sheets here. So this is, you are building your civilization. You have your workers. This is mainly a flip and write game where you flip like these cards, and also you use these workers in order to do things. You can get more workers. You're trying to get resources. You're trying to develop your civilization with agriculture and mining and inventions, and also you can go to war if that happens. So the goal of the game is to reach one of these goals here, detailed on the Chronicle card. So in this example, for example, you would need 6 victory points, or you would need these 2 cannons here, or you would have to build the world wonder. In this case, it is the pyramid. That is the goal of the game, and you have 15 turns in order to do so. And how do you do that? Well, you always start by playing one of these action cards. You turn over the first one here. It is a little bit small maybe, but you can see several things here. So first of all, you choose where to place it. You see here that you have 6 different tracks, so to speak. And here on the right, you see 2 of those symbols. For example, this one is the agriculture one up here, and the other one is the finance one down here. Whichever you choose, that one will be boosted. But that is not all. Also, you get these resources immediately. So for example, let's say that I would choose the agriculture one, right? That means I would get 4 science, so that's 2, 4 right here, for where the resources are. And I would get 3 mining, like ores, and I would get 2 money, like a very important resource actually, because you always need that. And then here on the right, I would place it right where that track here is to indicate that this track is boosted. Boosted means that I will get an extra worker this round, which I will just denote by with this red disc here. And this one I can use, but only on the agricultural track here, right? In this little box. But that's cool because I have an extra action that I can use. So I will just place it here to remind myself of what I can do here. Then later on, the event 1 will trigger, right? That means we go over to our Chronicle card here. And then like the next event will be triggered here, right? For example, here that I will get 2 wood. And also here we have a new worker placement spot where I can place a worker, and then I will get 1 of these building resources here. So we'll just place that up here for now as a little reminder. All right. And after I've done that, I can use resources and workers to do things, right? So you see all of these worker placement spots. Wherever you see a hex spot, you know it's something on the map, because we start the game actually by drawing our capital. And let me see, maybe we would start right here in the middle, maybe. I think, actually, let me go here. So I will just draw my capital right here. Like you can just draw it like a house with like this line in the middle. That's how it is done in the rule book, but well, you can give into all your artistic urges here. All right. So, and what happens now is that if we use one of these spots with a hex symbol, so for example, let's use this one right here, then you would see I need to pay 1 gold and 3 building resources, which I don't have, but I could do that in order to build a farm next to one of these fields right here. And that works by placing a worker starting at the settlement, and at the beginning I always have like 4 movement. Later on, when I upgrade that action, I have like 7 movement or even more, or like an unlimited amount of movement, right? So I could just stay there, right? And then I could build a farm next to it if I had the resources, which I don't have at the moment, right? So I need some way to get like these building resources. But there are also other things that I could do, right? So I can also use a worker, for example, here. Here I can cut down trees. I need to be right next to a tree. Then I can cut it down and get 1 wood. But I need 1 work point for that. Like these tools here are like work points, right? For example, or here I can build roads because when I build these structures, like the field where I can get like food later on, or like these mines where I can get ores, or the ports where I can also get like food and resources and stuff. These all need to be connected via road to the capital. Otherwise that doesn't work, right? Because we need to transport the resources we mine or receive to the capital in order to utilize them, right? This is like the main thing of what I'm doing. And what you also see is, I hope this is not too blurry when I come a little closer here, but you always see like these banners here in between these actions, right? And these banners denote that I need to have done this, I need to have reached that goal, whatever, in order to progress here. Right here, for example, I could spend 2 work points. They don't have to be in the same turn. I can do a different one. So I can spend like 1 work point, for example, right here. And then I will just fill that in. And whenever I have like the second work point that I spend, I can get 1 food. And then here I can spend 2 wood in order to get 1 level of agriculture. But that only works if I have done this one here. And this one is building a field. So let's say I had the work points that I needed. I would spend them, right? I have 2 at the moment, but let's say I had 3. I would spend those. Also, I would spend 1 gold. And then I could use that worker and place it here. And then I would use a worker right here on the spot here and move it maybe up 1. And then I could build, or maybe I would just stay there. And then I would build a farm right here. So I would draw in that farm. So now I have a farm. And that now means I will fill in that right here. So I have 1 of 3 farms. I can only have a maximum of 3. It needs to be right next to these wheat, to this wheat field here. And now I have reached that. That means I can now do that to get 1 food, but I can also spend 2 wood in order to get 1 level. So for example, I could now spend 2 wood right here in order to get 1 level. So I spent 2 wood and would get 1 level. So I would fill that in. Now I have 1 level of agriculture. What does that do? Well, that helps me with other banners, because you see, like, there are all of these banners in here that tell me what I need to actually be able to do that. And for example, look at this one here. We have the agriculture symbol here, and we have a 1. I need a level of 1 in order to do that action as well, right? And this is like how we progress throughout civilization, by building settlements, which you can do here, by building ports, by building mines and farms, by also making inventions here, in order to like unlock more and more things that we can do in order to like fulfill one of these goals. That is like the main gist of the game. And we just keep like walking around here, building stuff, building roads, which is very important, right? For example, here I would not need a road because it's right next to the settlement. But let's say I would build a mine at some place, at some point I would build a mine maybe here, right? Like this. But I would have to build a road to the settlement in order to be able to utilize that mine. Building roads, as I told you before, can be done right here for a work point. So that is how the main gist of the game works. There are a few more rules. For example, down here we have the inventions, and the inventions also cost resources, and these inventions then unlock things right here. You see like this microscope here, right? I need to have invented invention number 12 in order to like do this action here, right? These 3 tracks are separate, so I can start at the 11 here and go here. I can start at the 6, go there, 1 goes here. So I would have to have this invention, And after that, I need a level 2 for books, which is right here, down here, in order to be able to unlock that invention. And you see here, it makes sense, right? The level 2 here for that area, I would unlock here by going through invention 11. That's the one I have to do first. So I have to do that. Then I have to go here, unlock that, and then I have the level 2 here to go further with the inventions. And this is like how I progress through the entire civilization thing. So I can spend either resources to do things, or I can spend workers. Whenever I spend workers, you see the worker symbol in the respective square here. If I don't need a worker, for example, right here, where I just need 3 work points, 3 science points that I spend, I could just do it like this. So for example, what I could also do, you see, I have 6 science points, so I can spend 3 of those in order to do this one here. All right, so I have invention 11 now. So that means now if I am able to unlock this one here, like get the second level here, then I can go to invention 12. And that one then allows me to continue here, to progress here. Right, so I think you kind of get the idea of how this works. Very, very interesting. And also the last thing, but I will not go into detail in that, but you also have like an entire war mechanism. So whenever you're on these red spaces, you progress like the relations here for war, right? And this like goes left and right, depending on what you do and how you develop your civilization and where you move, where you do things. And when it ever gets to the right, you are at war, right? You can also invest in war, which means that you will have troops on this track here. Let me just put them like this. And also whenever you're here, the enemy will also have troops on their side of the track. And you can like move your troops and they will move their troops. And then you can also battle. And whenever their troops would reach the end of my track, I would actually lose, right? So that's another lose condition. Other ways you can lose are also by these, with these different tracks right here. This means hunger, because at the end of your turn, you always need to feed your population. Your population can increase in the course of the game, and more population also means more workers that you can add to your pool of workers, right? You see it right here. Like, for example, the population 2 would mean that I would unlock this one here and have an additional worker that I could use, right? That would continue like that, but at the end of the round, I would have to spend 3 food in order to feed them. If I can't do that, I receive 1 level on the famine track here because, well, the people are hungry. If this ever reaches the end, I lose. Also, if I have to pay money and I can't, then this goes on this negative finance track. If this goes over to the end, I lose. Whenever the happiness, yes, we also have a happiness meter here on the left. Whenever that is at 1 at the end of the turn, this one progresses on that track here. If that ever gets to the end, I lose. So there are like lots of loss conditions, but only like 1 win condition to reach one of these goals. And that is pretty much like how this game is played. I will not do a demo playthrough today because this would like be a 1 to 1.5 hour video, I think. But I think this should give you like a rough idea of how this game like works in general. So what are my first impressions of the game? Well, let me tell you. So first of all, this is a very, very complex game, right? It has a lot of rules. I think the rulebook has like more than 30 pages, I think. Let me just find the rulebook over here. Yeah, we have 30 pages, 31 pages. So it's like a very, very long rulebook. It is quite well written, actually, right? It's just a lot. To first get through this game, it's like a lot of stuff you have to read. Luckily, there is a video by the designer where he explains like the gist of the game, but that video also takes about an hour, right? So a lot of rules, a lot of stuff to get through, but it's not that complicated once you understand how it works. But still, apart from the rules, it is also a very complex game, right? Because you can do so many things and like you have so many different conditions to unlock other things. It's like kind of a mixture between, I would say, Hadrian's Wall and like Civilization or something like that, right? Because you do have like all these inventions, you have like these inventions chains, so to speak, right? These invention trees, you have like different ways of building up your civilization. You are actually like building settlements and trying to like have more influence here. And you also are going to war, but the Hadrian's Wall influence kind of thing that you are like unlocking things by improving other things, right? So there's like a lot of chaining here. You have to be very, very efficient and you have to like do a lot of thinking in order to like kind of like find the best way of navigating this. So this is like one thing to know before going into this. Secondly, this game is also quite long. Because you have to think so much, and it's like so much you can unlock here. It really is a lot. It of course also takes a while to do like one turn, and you have to do for 15 turns, right, until you win. So or maybe less if you play better, but still, if you achieve the goal before. But still, it's quite a long game. It's very complex in terms of rules, and also complex in terms of like the game depth, right? These are good things. These are positive things, but it's not for everyone. And it's quite impressive how much game and how much depth Radek has been able to like put into this game. It is just a print and play game, right? You just have like these few cards here, I think 12. You have just a few cards that you turn over, you assign them here, you get it for a few resources, you do some of your actions, you do like lots of actions, then you have all these events, you have war. There's so much going on here in just like these few pages, right? Yeah, it's pretty large for a print and play game because it has like 5 cheats, which is probably like the largest print and play game, at least in terms of flip and rights that I've played so far. And yeah, it shows. There's a lot to this game, so that is quite impressive how you can like put this much into like these few sheets here. Also, there's quite a little bit of variability here because you can also have different maps, and that changes a lot, right? Because you have one starting point, and this is like the starting point to like build out the influence, right? And there are like special points on the map as well where you get specific things. So there are like direct bonuses, immediate bonuses you can get. So it's also quite important to know where you start, and like other maps have different layouts, which makes the game different. I like that. This variability is really a good thing. If you enjoy Civilization games, if you enjoy like Euro games, because this pretty much is one, if you enjoy flip and writes games you can easily print out and just use a few tokens and a pen to work with, this is definitely a game you should look into. But as I said, it is very complex, it is quite long, and also takes up a lot of table space here, right? So it's like 3 sheets, landscape format here, and 2 up, like for the table space you need. If you don't mind longer, complex print-and-play games that take up quite a bit of table space, this might be just for you, right? Because this has a lot of depth, and I think even with just one map, I think you can play this like several times to kind of get an idea of like how can you play best in order to win, right? I mean, Hadrian's Wall only has 1 sheet, I think, right? And that also has quite a lot of replayability, just because like there are so many decisions you can take. So a huge thanks to Radek for sending me the digital game files here, so I could check this out, because this really is something. It's quite an interesting design, and I haven't even showed you everything that's part of the game, right? There are even more things like the entire war and an event mechanism. Then also here in your capital you can like build specific buildings that also give you bonuses. So there's so many, like all these settlements here. There's so much to this game. It is pretty impressive. So yeah, if you liked what you saw today, as I said, the campaign will be live for a few more days, just like 3 or 4 days. And also I will have the link to the Kickstarter project as usual in the description of this video, in case you would like to check it out. Well, and that concludes my very short and brief preview of Chronicles of Civilization by Radosław Ignatów, his latest X and Right game, so to speak. Alright, thank you so much for watching and staying to the very end. I hope you enjoyed this video. As usual, I would like to thank you all for your support, especially want to give a shout out to my generous patrons, and the biggest thanks go to Thecos, who supported me at the highest tier. Thank you so much for that, I really appreciate that. You can support me as well by watching, liking, and commenting on my videos, subscribing to my channel, supporting me on Patreon, and joining my Discord server to hang out with me and my amazing community. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the very next video. Take care everyone, stay safe, and cheers.